the irony of doing this video after Strack and I just did a video about how many videos about Michael Todd and the idolatry of Michael Todd's idolatry. Now, I may hit Ben Shapiro every once in a while, but I don't feel like most of my videos aren't about this dude. I'm not on a crusade against Ben Shapiro. I actually think Ben Shapiro has a lot of good things to say. I'm pretty balanced, and he does say some stuff that I 100% agree with. But I got to be honest, and this is what we do. Ben Shapiro he's on drugs. He's got to be on drugs. Or at the very least, he's confused, and at the worst, he's a liar. So before we get to that, this is day 17 of 100. Day 17 of 100, getting it in, 100 posts, 100 days. We doing it. This is day 17. Welcome to CNN. I'm Kirk Kennedy. I'll be your host. Let's go in. All right. I'm qualifying this by saying I think Ben Shapiro has a lot of good things to say. I agree with him a lot. But there are times when I think it's clear that Ben Shapiro is on drugs. But let me tell you what drugs Ben Shapiro's on. He's on the drug of woke amphetamines. He's wokenol. That's what the drug he's using is wokenol. Everything always has to be about something that's woke. And sometimes you're so unwoke that you're dumb woke. Let me explain what I mean. I'm going to play a clip, and this is, you know what? I'm gonna change this show to You Can't Make This Stuff Up. I would love to call it that, but I like making up my own stuff. And CNN to me is better, all right? Don't forget to like and subscribe. We have your mom hostage. Hit the like button. All right, You Can't Make This Stuff Up. This is Ben Shapiro in his own words. I'm going to play the clip. You know we hood, so I'm going to hold the phone up, and then we're going to talk about, you probably, as you listen to this, you will agree with me that Ben Shapiro is on drugs. And the drug of choice is wokenol, woke fentanyl. Here we go. Here is your friend and mine, Ben Shapiro. Listen.
The notion that Cleopatra was black is silly. I mean, again, you're allowed to do this in Hollywood because, of course, the only thing that matters is our weird, parochially American perception of what race matters. It's super, super strange. By the way, we actually have sculptures of Cleopatra. It's not as though there's like nothing to indicate what Cleopatra looked like. There's a Roman sculpture of Cleopatra from like the mid-1st century, around the time of her visits to Rome. And she looks Greek because she was probably Greek. It was amazing. The entire Hollywood crowd went totally nuts when it turned out they were trying to cast Gal Gadot as Cleopatra. Gal Gadot undoubtedly looked a lot more like Cleopatra than anybody who's being cast in this particular production. Now, again, you can cast however you want, but I've noticed a certain pattern in Hollywood, which is that people who clearly are not black are now being cast as black. But if you ever did the reverse, then no way, right? That would be racism of the highest order. In fact, you'll recall that there was there's this Shonda Rhimes show, Bridgerton, in which is Queen Victoria, is it? I don't watch Bridgerton because I'm a dude and I have testicles. So Bridgerton is a show for women, and also a racially strange show in which a bunch of white people are cast as black people, sort of like Hamilton. A bunch of white people are cast as people of color, and all the rest. And again, if we're just going to do race neutral casting on everything, I'm here for it. Fine, all right, that's cool. But that also means that Ryan Gosling needs to be up for Martin Luther King. Right? It also means that we're going to need Christian Bale as like Booker T. Washington. Like either you do it or you don't.
Okay. Ben Shapiro is on drugs, the wokenol, woke amphetamines. So this is his rant. Now keep in mind that Ben Shapiro is a media giant with a multi-million-dollar company, the Daily Wire. Again, I think he said some really good stuff that I agree with. But when he does stuff like this, and not even because he's pushing back against black and unblack, but the particular argument that he's making is that people are upset and are that Gal Gadot, in case you don't know, she's the woman who plays Wonder Woman, right, in the DC Comics. She was cast as Cleopatra, who's Greek and so forth, right? And people are upset. And he talks about, well, people of color being cast as non-white actors. This is a real argument that he's making. That was his own words. So let's have a come to Jesus moment for a second. All right? Let's have a come to Jesus moment. This is what I mean. I made a video early on and I called it the fascination with black sin. This idea of woke and everything being woke whenever it has to do with black or white, these people they idolize it so much that they can't not see it even when it's not there. As smart as Ben Shapiro is, this is literally one of the dumbest arguments I've ever heard Ben Shapiro make. That black people are being cast in non-white roles and and that's wrong. So if we're going to do that, then cast white people like Ryan Gosling as Martin Luther King or Christian Bale as Booker T. Washington, right? Here's the problem with this argument. Stay with me. You probably already know where this is going. Here's the problem with this argument. White actors playing non-white actors has been a staple of American cinematic history. Now, we're not even going to touch all the white actors that did blackface. We're not even going to touch that type of stuff. But let's just look at, he mentioned Christian Bale, right? Let's just take a look at that. Listen to this. Here's Christian Bale in the Exodus movie, right? And here's an article out of BBC talking about white actors playing non-white roles. Here's what it says. The list of films of which white actors have played other races includes everything from romantic comedies to action adventures and to fantasies to historical epics. Last year, this is an article a few years ago, Ridley Scott found himself under scrutiny because his picture Exodus, Gods and Kings, had non-Arab actors playing Egyptian roles, all right? Non-Arab actors playing Egyptian roles. And then it says this, and in 2013, there were complaints over Johnny Depp's character casting as Native American Tonto in The Lone Ranger, right? So you got Johnny Depp, good, clean American white boy. You got Christian Bale, good, clean American white dude, playing an Arab, right? Johnny Depp playing a Native American or an indigenous people group. I'm not sure what they want to be called these days, right? This is clearly has been a staple. So if it's woke when black people do it, then what is it when white people do it? This is what I mean. There is a fascination with black sin or whenever this happens. And this is just standard. Black people, we've watched white people, since cinematic history. The first major film with the biggest breakthrough was called The Birth of a Nation. It was a racist film about black people that came out in 1915 that portrayed people. That's where blackface started. You have but we're not even talking about that. Let's just go remember Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra in the 50s? Now, Ben Shapiro would be okay with this because maybe she looks Greek. But in all honesty, those Greeks were a little bit darker back then, right? That Greco-Roman, it was a little different. She might not have looked like that at all. But that would be satisfactory for Ben Shapiro, right? Remember Charlton Heston in the Ten Commandments as Moses, a Jew? Remember this? Remember that? Definitely, right? Definitely. Like, this is in the 50s, the Ten Commandments. Like, this idea of actors not playing the roles based on their ethnicity. White people started this. So what difference does it make? Remember recently people flipped out because Chloe Bailey was being cast as the Little Mermaid? And people were flipping out. The Little Mermaid is a cartoon, fam. What are we doing right now? She was a cartoon. Is she going to be offended? Is the cartoon, what is this? Take on me video, aha, where the comic book becomes real life? Like, what are we talking about here? This is what I mean. Like, don't fall into this. Don't fall into these arguments and thinking that everything is woke and this and that. Because the same argument that Ben Shapiro is making, white people have been doing the same thing since American cinematic history started. This is normal. This is normal for Hollywood to do that. I don't have the picture, but remember Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man himself, in the movie as the black dude in the war movie, when he was like, "What do you mean, you people?" And then the black dude was like, "What you mean, you people?" Like, because he was. It's like this happens, right? This is just a part. It has nothing to do with being woke. And this is the problem that I think this is where when black people do cry out racism, it's because of these double standards. So you're allowed to make movies that have portrayed all kinds of races by people that aren't white. I mean, remember some years ago when the actress Rooney Mara, listen to this. This week, Pan, the story of Peter Pan's origins opens in the U.S. This article is 2015. Already there has been controversy. The filmmakers caused an outcry when it was announced that Rooney Mara, regular a white actress, has been cast in the role of Tiger Lily, a character widely viewed as being Native American. An online petition that now has 94,000 signatories has a crystal clear message to the studio. Stop casting white actors to play people of color. Now, I could be wrong because I haven't followed Ben Shapiro that long. I have not. I could be wrong. Maybe he did a video about white actors playing non-white roles. But what I just played for you that he said was emphasis on black people and then saying, and trying to be, it was inflammatory. For him to say Ryan Gosling should play Martin Luther King, that was inflammatory because of the significance of who Martin Luther King is to black people. So I'm not saying Ben Shapiro's a racist. However, that was a little bit racy, right? It's unnecessary, bruh. It's unnecessary, right? This has been a part of, this has nothing to do with being woke. If it's woke when black people do it, play white, non-black actors, then what is it when white people do it? Good acting? This is what I mean. This is where, let me tell you something. I've said this in another video, but this is why the whole, whether you believe in it or not, some of the systemic racism stuff, that stuff is whack to me. Some of that stuff is whack. It's not true. It isn't. But there's a lot of this stuff. The reason why people are saying systemic racism, it's not just because first of all, and I may have said this before, let me say this again. First of all, there's a difference between systemic and systematic, right? Systemic means it's in the system, completely in the system. Systematic means it's in a part of the system, right? I don't think systemic racism still exists in the same way. I think racism is systematic. So if I say the banking industry is systemic, that means the whole entire system is racist. I don't think so. I own a home, got a good loan, and got a good rate. My rate right now will make other people cry. Now my credit, I worked to get my credit up, but it wasn't no 800, right? And I got a good rate. And I'm a big black dude. I walked into the joint, they was like, yo, what's going on? And this is when you had COVID, so you had to wear a mask. So they didn't know if I was coming in there off the Biggie Smalls, kick in the door, waving the 4-4, or you heard Papa don't rob us. I mean, they didn't know what I was going to do. I got a good rate, right? I don't think the banking system systemically racist, but I think it can be systematically racist where there are people who work within that industry that can make decisions based on people's race, right? Having said that, I think the reason why this race argument happens is because of these double standards. It's a double standard to make a video, and I think it's irresponsible for Ben Shapiro with the kind of clout that he has. Same thing with Candace Owens. Irresponsible. This is why I know you're not being honest. You either on drugs, you thinking about drugs, or you confused, or you just lying. But it's irresponsible to make claims like this when there are real people who have real lives, who are experiencing real things, that go through stuff, right? This is irresponsible. To say that, like, this argument is a double standard. White people have played non-white actor roles for a long time. And let's now bring in the heavyweight. Let's bring in the undisputed champ of non-white actors, white actors playing non-white roles. Let's bring in the undisputed heavyweight champ of all of this. Jim Caviezel as Jesus. Now let's be clear. Let's be clear about this one. Every picture that you and I see of Jesus Christ, he looks like a model, right? Jesus Christ is one of the pictures that we see of him, is one of the most handsomest dudes out. There's not a girl in her right mind, unless she's a lesbian or she identifies as a robot, a dragon, or something else. There's not a woman alive who would not want a man who looks like the Jesus Christ that we see. Now, let's not even talk about making an image of Christ, second commandment violations. Let's just leave that alone. But let's just deal with the reality. You've created a picture of the God of our salvation. A dude who was a Palestinian Jew, right? Remember when they told Paul, they thought Paul was Egyptian because he was dark? Jesus looks like the Marlboro Man in these pictures we see of him, right? Long hair, trimmed up beard, piercing blue eyes. I mean, they act like Jesus is going to walk up to a girl and be like, hey, what you think about how I made the world and stuff? You know what I'm saying? You like the way I make the summer? This is how they got Jesus looking. Everywhere we look, Jesus looks white. And that is not a depiction of who Jesus is. And they got Jesus looking attractive. But here's what Isaiah 53 actually says when it somewhat describes Jesus. This is Isaiah 53, verse 2. Here's what it says. For he grew up before him like a young plant and like a root out of dry ground. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him, and no beauty that we should desire him. Let me repeat that. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him, and no beauty that we should desire him. Now, this is an actor, but this is portrayed as Jesus. Does he have form or beauty or majesty? Right? 100%. 100%. No form of beauty. So in other words, Jesus chose to be physically unattractive. And let me tell you why I think he did that. Let me tell you why. Because when you look at two of Israel's greatest kings, or most known kings, you have Saul and you have David. Both were described. Saul was described as a tall man, handsome from the neck up. Now, I don't know what handsome from the neck down would look like. I mean, I guess it maybe a six-pack or something. I don't know why that description is phrased that way. Of course, handsome is going to be from the neck up. It calls David a ruddy, handsome man, right? In fact, they were so physically attracted that even the prophet Samuel, when he saw Saul, he knew, okay, he's definitely the king, because he just looked like a king, right? Jesus chose the opposite. No one's going to be drawn to me because of the way I look. And yet, we have nothing but all over the world pictures of a white Jesus. Pardon the strength of what I'm about to say. But Ben Shapiro, shut up. White people have co-opted, have designed what it means to play non-white roles, insofar as even God himself is considered white. Now, you, Ben Shapiro, may look white, but back then, Jesus did not. The Greeks and the Romans and all the people who would have fairer skin, based upon Aristotle's climate theory, which is a different video, based upon Aristotle's climate theory, the Jews in they would have looked Arabic. Jesus looked more like Osama bin Laden than he does Jim Caviezel. But that's okay. But when somebody black play, just stop it. Just stop you talk about race baiting from the left, that's race baiting from the right. Stop it. It's irresponsible. And if you're a believer, don't buy into it. I'm not saying, look, vote your conscience, but don't lose your conscience for a vote. This stuff is dumb and it's getting played out. Everything is not woke. Everything is not this. They're double standards. And this is why it's these double standards, why there are some black people who get offended and they say, you know what? This is systemic racism. It's not systemic, but it is systematic. There is a fascination with the things that black people do and calling out that America hasn't had for a while. So now everything, let's call that out. Let's call that out. And there's some stuff that's true. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I didn't bang with Black Lives Matter at all. I like the slogan because I understood what they were trying to say. But the organization, way before I knew they was into witchcraft and all that, I ain't bang with them. I didn't bang with them at all. But I'm not a fool. Now, I do all my videos. I explain why I do what I do. This is why I say the things that I say. Matthew 16. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times. Brothers and sisters, if you are of the Christian tradition like me, you got to interpret the signs of the times. It is not just the left race baiting. It's the right as well. They all do the same thing. You know why? Because they all care about the same color, green. And everything has to point back to making money, right? So Ephesians 5:11, take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. If I don't got a phone, I'm still calling them out because that's what I do. I'm Kirk Kennedy. This stuff is weak. It's a double standard. White actors been doing this since the beginning of American acting. But when black people do it, oh my gosh, get out of here, man. But what do I know? What do I know? Well, here's what I do know. They can't handle the tooth, and then I got to get a new camera. This joint is, the devil is in this camera. Every time, look at it. You see that? You see that right there? He's mad right now. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. We're going to keep going. Oh, I got some things to say. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep the party going. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you for riding with me. Like and subscribe to the channel, or your mom is going to pay the consequences. You know what I'm saying, all right? Appreciate y'all. I see the comment section is popping. I got to go grill, though. It's grill time. I got to grill for my family. We're grilling some chicken, some hot dogs, some burgers on the grill. I'm ridiculous with the grill. Ridiculous. And can nobody put no charcoal in it like me and then watch it burn. And then add the wood chips and then add the meat on, and then you close the top so all the smoke that comes from the wood chips hits the meat. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. I'm not fat and trying to lose weight for no reason. You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. I'm out of here. I appreciate you. Tomorrow, day 18. But if you see Ben Shapiro, if you watch this, stop taking them drugs, man. It's the drug woke amphetamines. You got wokenol, like fentanyl is wokenol. You, all of y'all, cut it out, man. Y'all doing the same thing that you accusing the other side of, and I'm not going for it because you can't handle the tooth.